Let's test jumping now. As you see, when I press spacebar, he jumps normally. I will change the button to E, and now when I press spacebar, he doesn't jump as you see until I press E, and when I return the button as it was, you will see it jumps again with spacebar. I will change the jump button in front of you to Y, and same as before, when I press A or X, nothing happens until I press Y to jump. I will do other tests in front of you, and as you see, everything works perfectly. Hello, everyone. In this video, we will learn together how to create an advanced remapping key system, not only for the keyboard, but also for the gamepad. The great feature here is that with a single button, you can assign one input for the gamepad and another input for the keyboard at the same time, with the ability to modify them later to any button you prefer, of course. And the best part is that the system automatically saves the changes. Also, the system is smart. It automatically detects whether you're using a keyboard or a gamepad and gives you the authority to change only the appropriate buttons, which prevents any overlap between inputs, meaning you cannot assign a gamepad button in the keyboard buttons list. And this by itself is an amazing achievement. Before starting, I wanted to share this explanation with you because I did not find any source that explains this method in detail before. So if you have suggestions for systems or ideas that you want me to explain in upcoming videos, don't hesitate to write them in the comments. As usual, this video will be special and creative, so let's begin. As we're used to in any video, at the beginning we will do the necessary preparations so everything works smoothly with us. First, we will make sure to enable an important feature in project settings, which is user settings. Without this, our system won't work. After enabling this feature, we go to the player character, and inside, in the event begin play, exactly behind add mapping context. From enhanced input local, we will use get enhanced input user setting. And from it, we get register input mapping context. And of course, put here your own mapping context, which is the main one you have, and from which you will apply the key remapping. After that, we connect it with event begin play, but it is very important to add a small delay before that. Otherwise, you might notice an error message later. This is all we'll do here. Now what we need is to create two widgets. The first we'll call UI inputs, and the second UI buttons, inputs. Let's enter now into UI inputs, where we will display our button list. So first, we bring a canvas panel, then we add a vertical box and increase its size a bit, and inside it, we add a horizontal box. So first, we put inside it a border and also a text. We'll adjust the color a bit here, and for the first text, write button. We'll also adjust its position, so let's put the text in the center, and for the border, also put it in the middle and set it to fill. Okay, for the text, I think I'll increase the top and bottom value a bit. After that, we'll create 3 more copies of this, with the only change being in the text, where they will be in order: keyboard, gamepad, and reset button. As a final addition here, we'll align them together by selecting all the borders and adjusting them from here. After finishing this, we'll add one last element here, which is a scroll box, and set it to fill, and also make it a variable. The reason we add it is in case we have many buttons, so we can scroll through them completely inside the size of the vertical box, which, by the way, you can customize its size as you like. If you want it to be a full list, you can enlarge it. Or if you want it to be just a side window, it's completely up to you how you want it to look. And I'll show you an example at the end of the video about that. Okay, now we move on to the real work. What we need to do for our system is 2 things for now. Search for all the keys we have in the mapping context. After finding these keys, we will add all their properties, such as their name, button type, etc., to the second widget we created. So first, we create two custom events. The first is named Find Keys, and the second Add Keys. And let's quickly go to Find Keys. Here, to fetch all our keys, Unreal does not provide a simple way like get all key. We must go through some steps first, but don't worry, I'm with you here. So here's what we'll do. First, we bring Enhanced Input Player Subsystem, and from it, we use Get Enhanced Input User Settings. And we'll make it a variable because we'll need it later and name it User Setting. After that, we use isValid to check it. Then we bring Get Current Key Profile, and from it, we get another node named Get Player Mapping Row. From the mapping output, we want only the values. That's all we need, and from it, we will do a for loop. In the loop, we do a break key mapping row and convert it to an array using toArray. We'll reuse this array in another for loop, and here we'll find all the information about our keys. And trust me, although I know there are other ways to do this, none of them will succeed in fetching all the details we want like this method does. So we simply do a break here, and here we'll find what we need. So first, we check that the slot is first. This is important. After that, what we'll need is to create three variables. The first two variables will be maps consisting of input, action reference, and player key mapping. Make sure not to make mistakes here. The first variable we will name all keys keyboard, where we will store all keyboard and mouse buttons. The second will be all keys gamepad, where we will store all gamepad buttons. And the last will be all keys. It just stores all the keys we need. Actually, we might not really need this last variable, but it will help you understand the system better later if you want that. So the next step is to add the keys. But you will notice a problem here, which is that the engine does not have a clear way to distinguish between gamepad and keyboard keys. Most solutions will be complicated and require a lot of work, and this will be a problem for us. But actually, there is a trick I usually use to differentiate between them, and it's extremely simple. We simply take advantage of the fact that all gamepad keys, without exception, start with the name gamepad. So we will check if the key we are pressing contains the word gamepad or not. And this is the reason we use this method to fetch all these details. So to do that, we get display name key from current key, convert it to a string, use contains, and put the word gamepad, then connect it to a branch. If the condition is true, we add the key to all keys gamepad, where we add the full key from the for loop and also its input action. Then we add the key from current key to all keys. We do the same thing, but change it to all keys keyboard, and that's it. Like this, we have brought all the keys we have. Now we move on to add keys. Before starting here, we need to add some variables in UI button input, so let's quickly go there and add these variables. The first thing is key name, which should be a variable of type text. And for all the variables we create, we will make them instance editable and expose on spawn. So the next variable will be user setting, a reference to enhanced input user settings. The second and third will be references to player key mapping. The first will be key keyboard, the second will be key gamepad, and the last will be all key. After finishing that, we go back here. At the beginning, we fetch all keys keyboard and get their keys values, then connect them with a for loop. After that, we do a find from all keys keyboard. If the result is yes, meaning it found a match. Then we make the result a variable and call it key keyboard founded. After that, we do the same with all keys gamepad by doing a find and saving the result as a variable. Then we create a widget and add the widget we created earlier UI button input. As you can see, the variables we created appear, so we start connecting everything together. For the name, there's a more specialized way to fetch it. Simply search for get player mappable key setting, and when you find it, do a split. After that, from key keyboard founded or key gamepad founded, it doesn't matter which you use, since they are from the same input action. Do a split for it and connect current key here, then connect it with input action, then do get display name. This way we got our first variable. As for user setting, that's obvious, and key keyboard and key gamepad will be the keys we just found. And all key is obvious too. That's all here. What remains is to fetch the scrollbox variable and do add child with the widget. So what we're doing is actually simple. We are just taking advantage of the fact that every input action, which, by the way, is this input action, can contain more than one button, and each input action has its own name and its own settings connected with the buttons inside it. So we are simply linking each input action with one gamepad button and one keyboard button connected to it. Now, in event construct, first, we do clear children for the scroll box, then we add find keys and add keys. That's all here. And like this, we have completely finished this part. Now we will move on to UI button input. In the previous widget, we fetched all the keys we have and sent the information of each key individually to this widget to display it for us. But before starting the logic, first, we must organize the widget here. We start by placing a vertical box, then a horizontal box, and inside it, we put a border and change its color slightly after setting it to fill. Then we add another horizontal box inside it with a vertical box and make them both fill. Then we add a border and a text. We slightly change the border's color and set it to fill as well. After that, we add another vertical box with a border, but this time, instead of a text, we add an input key selector, which is the most important part here. We tweak its settings a little and make its color transparent. But in hovered, we don't make it fully transparent, just slightly. And I'll also slightly change the text color to be closer to white. Then scroll down to Behavior, Advanced, and I'll change the cursor to crosshairs. Make sure it is a variable and add keyboard next to its name. Now we copy what we did and place it as a new column. The only change is one setting. We need to enable Allow Gamepad Keys, and we rename it to Gamepad instead of Keyboard. After that, we add one last column by copying from the first one. We change the text to Reset and put it in the center. Last step, make sure the borders of the last 3 columns are variables and rename them so we can distinguish them later. Now we have finished this step. Next step, creating the logic to display the keys we have. So first, we create a function and name it UpdateKey. Inside this function, we call input key selector for both keyboard and gamepad, and from them we call set selected key. From inSelected key, we use makeInput chord and connect its input with the function, one for gamepad and the other for keyboard. For now, this is all we will do here. We connect the function we just created to event construct, fetch the 2 variables, key keyboard and key gamepad, do break for them, and connect current key with the function. After that, from each border we created earlier, we will do getBrushColor and make it a variable. We'll do this for all of them because we will need it later, so keep it aside. Okay, now I noticed something, so let's quickly go back here. We will put a button here and delete this part because we'll replace it with the button we placed, and delete it here too. We put a text inside it, give it full size, rename it of course, and slightly change its color. After that, we'll do the same thing for the reset button. Fetch the background color and make it a variable. Now we start working on the logic for changing the keys. From Input Key Selector Keyboard, scroll down to the Events section and add both. On a selecting key changed, we create a new variable and call it isSelectedKeyKeyboard and set it to true. Then, in on key selected, we make a branch to check if we selected the key already and immediately set it back to false. After that, we do break input, make the key a new variable, and call it the new key keyboard. Next, we'll be adding the new chosen key to the mapping context. To do this, fetch the user setting variable, and from it call mapPlayerKey, apply setting, and save setting. After finishing that, we go back to mapPlayerKey. From it, we will use makeMapPlayerKey. We fetch the mapping name from key keyboard, while the new key will be the variable new key keyboard we created earlier. That's all here. Now we copy all of this and paste it exactly for input key selector gamepad with the same steps. The only difference here, create a new Boolean variable called isSelectedKeyGamepad and change it also in on key selected. This is important. Create a new variable also for new key gamepad and replace it with the keyboard one. That's all we need to do. What remains for us now is the reset button. Its purpose is exactly as its name suggests. Return the key back to the original default key that was assigned to it. To do that, go to Button Reset, and in On-Click Button we do the following. We copy these previous settings and put them here. The changes will be, add another function to map player key and also add update key. So, from key keyboard we do break, connect the names together, then connect default key with new key. We do the same for key gamepad. And in the end, we connect the default key for both keyboard and gamepad with the update key function. With that, we have finished the core of our system. Before we move to testing, now we have an important step, and without it, everything we've done so far will be useless. And that is, of course, configuring the settings for the keys so they appear in the keys list. For testing, I'll create 3 new buttons. For those who don't know how, just search for input action and add it. These buttons will not perform any real function, they're just for testing. But let's say the first button will be for shooting, the second for punched attack, and the last for crouch. After creating the buttons, we'll need to change some settings outside. Scroll down to the user settings section. Here we put player mappable key setting. After adding it, we'll find name and display name. The most important is display name, since it will be the name of the button that will appear later in the keys list. So just write here how the button name will be, and do this for all the buttons you have. After finishing this part, we move to the other important part, which is adding the buttons to the mapping context and changing some settings there as well. So we just click on Add Action Mapping and add the 3 buttons we created. And in these 3 buttons, you must choose a key for the keyboard or mouse and another key for the gamepad. By the way, I connected my gamepad at the beginning of the video, so I'm already using it to change the buttons here. Good. After that, there is the important part here, which is changing the keyboard button settings and the gamepad button settings for each action mapping. In the Setting Behavior option, it is very necessary to change it to Override Setting. The benefit of this option is that it will show us both the keyboard and gamepad buttons later. Without it, the keyboard button only will appear mostly, or the gamepad button only, and this is something we don't want. After that, in the Player Mappable Key Setting option, add this option. Then in Name and Display, add a unique name like Crouch Key. And do the same in the gamepad button and add another unique name like Crouch Pad to differentiate between them. If you leave them empty, problems may occur later, and don't worry. This name will not appear later in the button list because I relied on the action mapping name instead of relying on the mapping name. So now we apply the same settings to all the other buttons here. Good, let's check if everything is correct. Okay, I think everything's good here. Now, although there are still things to do and also shortcomings you will notice now, but let's give it a try and test it. Let's go to the player character and add the widget at the start of play with a 1-second delay for testing only. Also making the mouse cursor visible. Let's see. Okay, from what I see first, the size of the rest button is too big and the button name does not appear, but other than that, like the used buttons, they appear well without issues. Okay, fixing these shortcomings is very easy. We go to change the rest text size, and after finishing that in the button text, we create a bind for it and put the key name. That's it, and let's retry. Good. Now the button names appear as we planned, and the attached buttons also appear. And if we want to change a button, we just click on it. And yes, as you can see, the button did change indeed exactly as we want. And if we click on the rest button, boom, exactly as we want the original button returned. And if we want to change the gamepad button, as you see, it really changes, and I'm really changing it multiple times. But if we try to change a keyboard button using the gamepad, it will not succeed. Even the character started jumping instead of changing the button. And as you can see, the button does not change. Okay, there's a simple tip. If you don't notice the blue box when navigating with the gamepad, the solution is easy. Go to Project Settings and search for Focus Rule and make it Navigate Only. This will solve the issue temporarily because later we will work on making our system not depend on such a primitive way. Okay? So you must have noticed how the gamepad buttons look very long and not suitable, and this is one of the reasons I want to use images instead for gamepad buttons. As for the images we need and how to get them, we will use this package here, which is completely free, and I found it to be the best even among paid packages. This one remains the best in my opinion. And of course, if you like this package, don't forget to support its creator. So to get it, just put 0 here and click purchase and then get. After that, you'll find 2 packages. Download the universal version package. This is the one we need, and you'll find in it all kinds of buttons. After that, when you unzip the file, you'll find inside a source file, and inside it, images of the gamepad buttons for PlayStation Neuro 4 and PlayStation Neuro 5, as well as Xbox and even Nintendo Switch, and even also keyboard and mouse buttons. In short, really amazing, and in my opinion, its creator surely deserves all the support. For me in this tutorial, I will use these button images. So after copying them all to the engine, we will leave them aside for now because we will come back to them later. Okay, now what we need is to organize all these images in order to display them later with what suits them from each button. To do that, we will use a data table because there is nothing better for this purpose. So first we create a new structure and name it gamepad list. Inside it, we create 2 variables. The first will be key, and we name it gamepad key. And the second will be key photo, a reference to texture 2D. That's it. And then we create our data table and name it button gamepad data. Okay, let's stop a little here because I need to explain what exactly we're going to do. So what we will do is in each row name, we will add the name of a gamepad button, and it must be the full name of the button and not some abbreviation. And also it must not have any spelling mistake because one wrong letter and it will not work with you. And to test this with you, we will put the first button. Let it be the A button, whose full programming name, by the way, is gamepad, face button bottom. And then in gamepad key, we put the A button and also put its image. If you don't know the name of the button you press, just put your button here and read its full name and write it in the row name. And this is what we will do for all gamepad buttons, which are, by the way, 18 main buttons. Yes, it may be a boring task, but it is necessary. So I will add all the buttons myself and then come back to you. No, I'm joking, guys. Of course I won't make you go through all this. I already made a table with these exact data, so you really won't need to redo it manually yourselves, guys. And I already exported it as a JSON file. If we open the file in front of you, now this is what you'll see. Don't worry, it's nothing complicated. I just want to clarify one thing for you about the images. As you can see here in this file, the images are supposed to be in this path. So if the engine doesn't find them later when importing, all images will appear empty and you'll have to refill them yourself. And the same for those who choose other button images than the ones I used in the example. They will need to refill them from the start themselves. So let's go to the engine and rename the file that contains the gamepad buttons. Make sure not to make a mistake in the name or the path, and then move it to the input file inside the third-person file. This is also important. And when finished, choose a place to export the JSON file. Doesn't matter where this time, and click Import from here. It will ask you to choose the required structure, and of course we will choose the one we created earlier. And it must be the same with the same variable names also, so please follow my steps and even the names exactly. Also enable this option and click Apply. Now you will notice a new data table created in front of you. When we enter it, you'll find everything ready as we want. And to check, I will show them to you in order in case you faced any difficulty executing the process. We delete the old one now because we don't need it. After finishing this comes the next matter, which is how we will display these button images. Okay, for that we go to UI button input here, where we need to change the input selector key shape. But unfortunately, Unreal Engine doesn't provide a direct way to change the button image or almost modify anything in it. So we will need another way to trick the engine, and this way will be as follows. We will first add an overlay to the input key gamepad and then add an image. Let it be empty. And make it a variable and also rename it. What we will change is the image position and image size, where we will make it 73. This will be good. After that, we go to Update Key here, where we will use Get Data Table for the one we made earlier and break it. And then put the button image in the place of the image we created earlier. What remains now is how to determine the row name. Usually we would get display name of the gamepad key and convert it to string and connect it to the table. But unfortunately that won't work because gamepad button names contain spaces and the data table doesn't accept any names containing spaces. So to fix this, we will tell the engine that whenever it finds a space in gamepad button names, it must add an underscore. For that, we first convert it to string and use the replace node where we replace any space with an underscore. In the from field, put one space only, and in the to field, put underscore. And then connect it to the data table. This will solve the problem for us. Next, we will set the opacity of the gamepad button image because we want the image to disappear completely when resetting the button. And when hiding it, we want to show the input key gamepad using set opacity. And when assigning a new button, we will do the opposite. After that, we create a custom event and name it Update Photo Keypad with a key variable. As for the logic here, we will copy the one used in Update Key. We will use this event when finishing changing the button, meaning here. And the last step we have is making the opacity of the input key gamepad to 0. And I will change the rest button color a little. That's all. So let's try and see if it works. Changing buttons as usual works. So let's now try with the gamepad. I try to change the button, and yes, it works amazingly as we wanted indeed. Okay, we definitely want to check that the buttons really change, and not just in the widget, right? So I will add the following modifications. First, I will make the image size here 50/50. This will be better. What we will do next is add the jump to the list of buttons that will appear in our button list so we can really test if the button works. So we do the same steps we did for the previous buttons. After finishing, let's test. Okay, it seems it shows a different button. It's the phone button. Okay, I know the reason. I already told you that if you leave a button without putting it override setting, it will cause problems. So either put this button on override setting or delete it if you don't need it. Good, now the thing appears correctly. I will add a program to track keyboard presses to let you see the result in front of you. This will require turning off the recording software and restarting it. Let's do a clear test now. Let's reset the button to its original state. And let's test jumping now. As you see, when I press spacebar, he jumps normally. I will change the button to E, and now when I press spacebar, he doesn't jump as you see until I press E, and when I return the button as it was, you will see it jumps again with spacebar. As for the gamepad buttons, I will need to turn off the recording program again and try with you. I will change the jump button in front of you to Y, and same as before, when I press A or X, nothing happens until I press Y to jump. I will do other tests in front of you, and as you see, everything works perfectly. Even I am surprised with the result. I expected some errors, honestly, before reaching the perfect result. At this point, we can say our system is complete. But I will make some modifications to make it better aesthetically, including the gamepad navigation where I will remove it completely, but this will need another video, so I will postpone it for a coming video that explains exactly all properties of keyboard focus and how to build the best settings to navigate with gamepad in the widget. So I hope this video pleased you, especially since it took me 3 full days to prepare. So at least I want your support with a positive comment like, and subscribe, because it really motivates me to continue. Thank you.